Thank you, Shrestha. It's amazing to see what Gemini can do. What capabilities will you start using first? Share it with me in the chat. I want to know. Next up, we're going to dive even deeper into Gemini with Paige Bailey. She's the engineering lead for GenAI Developer Experience here at Google. And she's going to show us how to use the Gemini APIs and Google AI Studio to accelerate and automate your work. No programming experience is required. Welcome, Paige.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Paige Bailey, and I am the lead for our AI Developer Experience team at Google. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about AI Studio and our Gemini APIs and how you can get started using them with all of your projects. I think you probably heard a little bit about them earlier today, but this session will be specifically focused on kind of a deep dive into AI Studio and using all of the great features that we have within the UI. So with that, let's get started. Generative AI is really transforming how Google is building all of our products. And you've probably already seen this with something like, Gemini being baked into Google Docs, into Google Sheets, being baked into code completions, code generation, and finding and fixing errors within Colab, and pretty much every single one of our product surfaces. Google isn't really a stranger to machine learning and AI. Our company's entire mission around organizing the world's information and making it useful really ties into machine learning and AI in general. And we've been doing this a lot since earlier in the lifetime of Google, and then also even for things like TensorFlow's first open source release in 2015, as well as great projects like AlphaZero and AlphaFold from our colleagues at DeepMind. And then finally, Gemini, which is our latest flagship model that we'll be looking at today. Gemini is multimodal from day zero, which means that it can understand videos, images, audio, text, full code bases, and it can do really interesting things with all of the great knowledge that it's been baked into its training process by the DeepMind team. We have several versions of Gemini that you can try out today for free in AI Studio, including Gemini 1.5 Flash, which is kind of a production-ready version, very quick, very speedy, very cost-effective, as well as Gemini 1.5 Pro, which is our most capable model that's been released externally. It has up to a 2 million token context window, and we'll be getting into what that means in just a second. While also being, top tier across a broad variety of complex tasks. We've also just recently released Flash 8B, which is an even tinier version of Gemini 1.5 Flash that's super quick, that's really capable, especially when coupled with things like code execution, and that can do a lot for your work. These models have been performing pretty well. So when Pro was first released, it was at the top of the LM-SIS leaderboard. And you can also check out most present day stats on artificialanalysis.ai. You'll want to be in those green quadrants. And so you'll see here that Flash, when it was first released, created its own quadrant. And you can see how Gemini 1.5 Pro has been improving over time. I think now it's very close to this top leftmost quadrant, which indicates kind of the best quality versus price trade-off that you can have for the models themselves. As I mentioned, we're deploying them everywhere throughout all of Google's product surfaces, both the very small, so things like phones and mobile devices, as well as baking the models directly into the Chrome browser. And we're integrating them also into things like Docs and Sheets and Slides and Meet. We talk a lot about context windows, why they're important, why they're exciting, but we don't do a really great job of explaining what a 2 million token context window allows you to do. Today, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of this, but what 2 million tokens in your context window might allow is you can suddenly give the model a lot of information right at inference time. So instead of having to do things like fine tuning, instead of having to do things like standing up vector databases for retrieval, you can just kind of give the model a lot of information and it's off to the races all at once. So it's very cool to be able to see what these models can do with longer context windows, and you can stuff an awful lot of information in them as well. So 1 million tokens is really all of the emails that you've sent in the last year. every text message that you'll send in a lifetime, hours and hours of video, many of the papers that are published at NeurIPS this year, as well as hundreds, if not thousands, of songs. So just imagine what you can do just being able to give Gemini all of that information all at once, and to be able to see how it uses it in real time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with some of our demos. I'm going to take you directly into AI Studio, and hopefully all of you have seen AI Studio before. If not, it's very simple to get to at aistudio.google.com. And all you should have to do is log in with your Gmail account. So the Google account that you use to log into all of our services is the one that you'll be able to access in AI Studio. You'll see here a couple of example prompts that you can kind of click and use. We also have a prompt gallery where you can explore different prompt ideas to help you get started. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at one of our out-of-the-box data, data assets, and we'll use it to investigate some of our models. So if I click here, this plus sign, you'll see that I can access data that's stored within Google Drive. I can upload files, I can record audio or even record videos directly within the UI itself, take pictures, or use some of our sample media. And for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to use some sample media that we've already uploaded. I really love dinosaurs, so I'm going to click this video right here, click Add It to the prompt, and then I am going to use Gemini to help analyze it. If I click here under model categories, you can see Gemini 1.5 Pro, which is that most capable model that I was mentioning before, as well as Flash and Flash 8B, and then also our Gemma models, which are a family of open source models. For this video analysis, I'm going to choose the latest version of Flash. You'll see here off to the side that it's almost 89,000 tokens for this 5-minute long video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, please, tell me the names of all of the dinosaurs in this video, and also give me the timestamp for when each dinosaur skeleton is shown. Also make sure to give me a fun fact about each dinosaur. And then I'm not very good at prompt engineering, so this hopefully this ends up working. If I hit run, immediately Gemini starts plugging and chugging with the latest Flash version to analyze the video, and to kind of look through all 5 minutes of this video footage to help get the information that it needs in order to answer my question. You can see here that it only took 14 seconds to analyze the full video. And you can see that it spotted an Ornithomimus in a couple of segments of the video, Dinocyrus, Struthiomimus, and Allosaurus, and Apatosaurus, and has given me fun facts about each one. I especially love Struthiomimus, the ostrich mimic, just because it helps us kind of understand that dinosaurs are just kind of the naturally evolved state of birds. So this is very, very cool. And as I mentioned, super, super speedy. For the smaller version of Gemini 1.5 Flash 8B, one of our very good Gemini friends externally, Simon Willison, recently did an experiment where he analyzed 35 seconds of video for just looking over his bookshelf, and calculated that it took 1/100th of a penny in order to do that analysis. So in theory, you could record everything that's happening on your screen all day, every day, 365 days a year. And it would still cost less to analyze than probably what you would spend in a week on Starbucks. So it's very, very cool to see. It's very cool to see how all of these capabilities are baked into the UI for AI Studio, and also how you can kind of analyze videos in real time. In addition to video, you can also analyze PDF documents. So you can see here, I've uploaded the first book in the Animorphs series. Hopefully people have heard of Animorphs. If not, then I strongly recommend you taking a look. It is one of the coolest series I remember from my childhood. But you can ask for things like, please transcribe all of the text from page 66 of this PDF, and it gives you a transcript outright. If you want to be able to use some of the great features that we have here off to the right, like code execution, JSON mode for structured outputs, function calling, and grounding, you can also sort of experiment with those settings as well as our safety settings. So in general, I try to turn most of my safety settings off as I'm experimenting, which gives me the ability to kind of prevent some of the problematic outputs that you might see from the model. For this next example, I'm going to show you how you can do, so as an example, if I click Gemini 1.5 Flash 8B, I'm going to show you how you can do interesting things with search grounding and also with code execution in order to get more appropriate model responses. So as an example, if I say something to the effect of my birthday is September 21st, everyone should please send presents, but please tell me which day of the week my birthday will be on from 2025 to 2525. If I just ask the model outright, it's probably not going to give me a great response. Yeah. So it's saying I can't give you a complete list of the days of the week without access to a powerful calendar program. However, what you can do by turning on code execution is give the model access to precisely that, to an isolated sandboxed environment with Python, the standard library for Python, and a whole bunch of additional libraries that will allow you to kind of run this again, that will allow you to kind of run this again. And let me pull up the Gemini Flash model just to see what can happen. There we go. And what it does is it kind of figures out the day of the week. It creates some Python code in order to calculate this, and then runs the Python code for me. So you can see here, this is the Python code, this is the expressed output, and it tells me which day of the week my birthday will be on from now till the very end. And so again, if I turn off code execution and then try running with the Flash model, the model says no. If I turn on code execution, the model writes some code and then tells me which day of the week my birthday will be on, just like that, which is pretty magical. Relatedly, you can also ask questions. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to change my prompt. I'm going to say something to the effect of, please tell me who won the physics Nobel Prize in 2024. And so if I click stop editing and then try to run this with no additional kind of bells and whistles, what should end up happening is that the model tells me that it can't know because this is past its training data cutoff, or it will just fabricate or hallucinate a response. So if I hit run, yes, it says, unfortunately, I don't have access to real-time information. If you turn on grounding, so grounding with Google search, and then you run again, then what you can see is that the model is capable of synthesizing the top Google search suggestions, and then also grounding it with sources, including search suggestions. So this is pretty magical. Even more magical is if you click this Get Code button off to the right, you can see the code that you would use in order to replicate each of these experiences kind of automatically created based on whatever you had just accomplished in the UI, as well as giving you the ability to open up this example in Colab. So it takes you immediately to a nice notebook with kind of the content that you would need to generate, as well as the conversation that you had been working with. You can also see here off to the left, if you wanted to add a secret, you could have a Gemini API key created, or you can sort of import your keys from AI Studio here directly within Colab. So it's pretty beautiful how all of this is kind of encapsulated together. We've even added just recently the ability to, if you prefer using the OpenAI API libraries, we've given you the ability to import the OpenAI library and to use the Gemini models directly from there. So instead of having to kind of use the OpenAI keys, you can just use the Gemini versions instead. For function calling, I strongly recommend you play with function calling, not just for tools and not just for information extraction, but also by even being able to use different models or different kind of like satellite imagery segmenters. You can sort of pull in your question, ask for Gemini to dynamically understand which tool it should select in order to help accomplish that task. And give the response back to you. So lots of really interesting work that you can accomplish with function calling. If you'd like to generate a key yourself, we already saw how you could generate an API key directly within Colab. You can also click Get API Key here off to the left and create a new API key by clicking on this button. You can also create tuned models if you would like to use Gemini itself with tuned data. So here you can upload an arbitrary CSV or an arbitrary data source, change some of the settings, including the number of epochs that you might have for tuning, and tune your model, and then call it like an API just as you would any other Gemini API. So lots of really interesting things that you can do directly within AI Studio. You can also export the code for whatever you've just created and use it to enrich all of your applications with Gemini, whether you're using Python or JavaScript or anything else. I also would like to call out that Google has an AI for Startups program that allows you to use Google Cloud credits to build the systems that your company is using, or the applications that your company is creating. We have a kind of a generalized starting tier. So if you're pre-funding, you might qualify for Start or for Ecosystem. And then once you kind of scale out and get a little bit of funding, you can get equity-free, pretty significant cloud resources to date. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much. If you remember one thing from this presentation, it is to go to try out Gemini 1.5 in aistudio.google.com. Again, completely for free, both for the API as well as the UI interface. And if you have any questions whatsoever as you're building out these projects, please feel free to contact me at webpage@google.com. We're so excited to see what you build. And really jazzed to have you dialing in today to all of the great presenters. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the conference.
Thank you, Paige. I learned so much. How about you? Share what you learned in the chat. I want to keep the conversation going. Next up, we're joined by Kathleen Keneally to explore Gemma and how its open models are making AI more accessible to everyone. As a staff research engineer at Google DeepMind and the technical lead on the Gemma team, her vast experience in large language models and open models will offer us some very dynamic insights. Let's dive in.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kathleen Keneally. I'm a staff research engineer at Google DeepMind and one of the technical leads of the Gemma team. Before I get started, I just want to say what an honor it is to be part of the Women in AI Summit. Now more than ever, it's so important and impactful for us to gather as a community. And I'm proud to say that Gemma is a team where more than 50% of our leads are women. So I'm incredibly proud to be here representing the women of Gemma and the Gemma team. At Google DeepMind, we dream of a world where AI unlocks solutions to humanity's grandest challenges. we've been pushing the frontiers of what's possible. AlphaFold revolutionized protein folding and recently won the Nobel Prize. AlphaZero mastered Go and chess. And now we have Gemini. Gemini is our most ambitious project yet, a multimodal AI fluent in text, images, audio, and code. It reasons, it understands, it creates. It's a glimpse into a world where the limits of human ingenuity are amplified by the power of intelligent machines. But raw power is not enough. True progress lies in sharing access to these transformative tools with developers like you. And that's why we built Gemma. Built from the same cutting-edge research and technology as Gemini, Gemma is a family of lightweight, open models, meticulously crafted for you. We want to put this power in your hands. We want to see what you can build. We launched Gemma just 8 months ago, and we've been absolutely blown away by the response. A vibrant community, which we like to call the Gemmaverse, has sprung up around it, creating an incredible ecosystem of both model variants and tools. In fact, there are already over 40,000 Gemma variants published on Hugging Face. This enthusiastic adoption fueled us to accelerate our development, and just a few months later, we launched Gemma 2. Gemma 2 comes in 3 sizes: a 2 billion parameter model, a 9 billion parameter model, and a 27 billion parameter model, each designed with a specific purpose in mind. The 27 billion param model is our powerhouse. Shortly after it was launched, the 27B model stormed the LMSys chatbot arena leaderboard, outperforming models 2 to 10 times its size. But what's truly remarkable is the performance we've achieved even with smaller models. Our 2 billion parameter model actually outperforms GPT 3.5 on LMSys, a model many times its size. Just imagine the possibilities. Being able to access this level of performance offline, anytime, anywhere. This is the future of AI. Powerful, portable, and personal. And for those looking for a balance between power and efficiency, the 9 billion parameter model has proven incredibly popular and performant. And importantly, this performance is available to everyone. At the heart of the Gemma team is a commitment to building amazing models for real people, for you. We design these models to fit on your hardware, the hardware developers already have access to. You don't need giant clusters of GPUs or TPUs to harness the power of Gemma. And crucially, we refuse to sacrifice quality. Our goal is to deliver cutting-edge performance in a package that's practical, accessible, and empowers you to build incredible things. But Gemma is more than just benchmarks. It's about responsible AI, prioritizing safety and accessibility. That's why we recently launched Shield Gemma, our suite of safety classifiers, and Gemma Scope, a tool that enables unprecedented model interpretability. Gemma is less than 8 months old, and we've been incredibly inspired by what the Gemma community has already achieved. We're particularly excited about stories like this one, about a group of developers in India. Let's take a look.
Language is a very interesting problem to solve actually. And given India has a huge variety of languages and it changes every 5 kilometers.
When technology is developed for a particular culture, it won't be able to solve and understand the nuances of a country like India. One of Gemma's features is an incredibly powerful tokenizer, which enables the model to use hundreds of thousands of words, symbols, and characters across so many alphabets and language systems. This large vocabulary is critical to adapting Gemma to power projects like Navrasa.
Navrasa is a model that's trained for Indic languages. It's a fine-tuned model based on Google's Gemma. We built Navrasa to make large language models culturally rooted, where people can talk in their native language and get the responses in their native language. Our biggest dream is to build a model to include everyone from all corners of India.
तो हमें AI को यूज़ करके एक ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी चाहिए कि कोई भी पीछे ना रहे और हर कोई इसको यूज़ कर सके.
Today, the language that you speak in could be the tool and the technology that you use for solving your real-world problems. And that's the power of generative AI that we want to bring to every corner of India and the entire world.
We're constantly amazed by stories like this. We've seen remarkable work, particularly in adapting Gemma for languages and tackling regionally specific challenges. You've published Gemma models for underrepresented languages like Arabic, Ukrainian, Zulu, and many more. Beyond national languages, we're also seeing efforts to preserve and promote regional dialects. In Korea, for instance, a developer is leveraging Gemma to build a dialect translator, specifically focused on the Jeju dialect. Jeju Island, a beautiful volcanic island off Korea's southern coast, boasts a unique language, distinct from Standard Korean. This is exactly the kind of progress that fuels our passion. We want to see a world where everyone has access to helpful AI, no matter where they are or which device they own. So, we've also released our tuning recipes, empowering you to create Gemma models for your language, your culture. And to accelerate this vision, we've also announced a $100,000 prize towards our newest Kaggle competition. To build a Gemma model for your language and share your knowledge with the world, and compete for prizes. Let's build a truly global AI ecosystem together. These are just a few of the applications for Gemma that we are particularly excited about, because we know that real progress will come from you. Your achievements continue to push the boundaries of what is possible, and it is a true honor for us to be a part of your journey. The future is in your hands. Let's build it together. Thank you.
Whoa, thank you, Kathleen. There's so much about AI still to learn, and we're getting great comments in the chat. Keep that conversation going. Next up, Jean